I've got to ask you, have you ever testified in front of a stripper pole before?
This is definitely a first for me.
Please explain the nature of Mr. Moody's eye injury.
So this is just an external photograph of what we'll see to be more extensive injuries underneath the eyelid. This is a pretty devastating injury. It's hard to even get oriented in terms of where we are in the eye. But this is the patient's cornea right here, and we can see there's a marked laceration across the top that really is threatening vision emergently. So the first priority is to close this laceration that the patient has. And once we're able to restore that cornea back to its original location, then we're going to need to address the floor of the orbit, which is that bony structure.
Will he ever get his vision back?
With an injury like this one, I would say he would be very lucky to return to functional vision.
Thank you, doctor. We appreciate you. You're released. Mr. Moody, I can't imagine what's going through your mind right now.
Who would have thought that going to the booty club I'd come out like this?
The more I look at this, it seems to me you've got to take some responsibility for this. Do you take some responsibility for this?
No, I'm not responsible, Your Honor.
Wow.
Because at the end of the day, she was wearing a shoe that wasn't her size.
Well, how do you know that?
I know because I brought the shoe here today.
Well, let me see it. Sheriff Matt, will you get the shoe? And I know it's not your size, Sheriff.
No, it's a little small for me.
This is the shoe that went in your eye.
Yes, Your Honor. The shoe was too big for her foot. How else could the shoe come off?
These aren't supposed to come off, are they, Miss Davis?
No, Your Honor, they're not. It's very difficult to do those tricks around that pole with shoes that don't fit correctly. So if the shoe didn't fit, she would have had to quit.
I certainly understand that, but what we do know is the shoe did come off and it changed somebody's life. Miss Candy, were you wearing this shoe on that night?
I was, Your Honor. We share shoes all the time. We borrow each other's stuff. That's just common. That's just what we do.
Well, what we got to decide is if the shoe fits, you'd get an acquit. Sheriff Matt, could you walk this over? Miss Candy, I want you to try that shoe on.
I can. I have to take both my shoes off.
Miss Candy, what size shoe do you wear?
A 6.
May I see that shoe again, Sheriff? This shoe says it's a 9.
Even if the shoe was big, if he hadn't have been in an area where he wasn't supposed to be, he wouldn't have got hit in the eye.
Folks, I've evidence that although you were close to the stage, you had no idea that your life was gonna change. You were gonna leave there with your buddies, everybody having had a really good time. Instead, we're here. In this case, the devil is in the details. You told him, you put up signs, you put the restricted area there so he could see where he's not supposed to go. In every personal injury case, the plaintiff, you, Mr. Moody, have to prove 3 things. You've got to prove that Miss Davis and Sugar Mamas was wrong, that their wrong caused your eye injury. Here you've put up evidence that Miss Candy had a shoe on that came off and hit you in the eye. That's not supposed to happen. You put up evidence that although you were close to the stage, you had no idea that your life was gonna change. You were gonna leave there with your buddies, everybody having had a really good time. Instead, we're here, and you're asking this court for a lot of money for your injuries and lost wages. Miss Davis, Miss Candy, you all have been running a respectable establishment, a safe establishment, for a long time that you built from the ground up. But there are rules, and you enforce those rules. You put up signs, you put the restricted area there so he could see where he's not supposed to go. Here, though, there was evidence that you left him there for a while, which makes people comfortable to be there. In this case, the devil is in the details. The reality is that the shoe was too big, and that's what caused the shoe to come off. And that is why I find in favor of the plaintiff and against the defendant, I'm going to award you $29,000 for your past medical bills, $15,000 for your future medical bills, $50,000 for your lost wages, and $200,000 for your pain and suffering, for a total award of $294,000. That is my final verdict, and this matter is adjourned.